Hey there, this is Susan with Colorful Expressions. Today we wrap up Dephemerember. I got really far behind, and the holidays happened without my husband. My anniversary happened without my husband. And as you can imagine, it was difficult, and streaming just wasn't happening. So I am going to wrap up the last 3 days for Dephemerember, and we are going to make a urban graffiti spread in my art journal as the last prompt. So as the collaged postcard and curiosity shop, I made a layered postcard. There's a piece of cream paper inside, stamped with all of my little stamps. And I found this image on Pixabay and I printed it out, stamped with some birds, a little potion bottle, a bell for the store, and this is my curiosity shop. And underneath it's a postcard with a little stamp, type stamp, and a cancellation. And I actually may mail this to a friend of mine. I'd have to just put a regular stamp on top of that or make another one. I printed out several copies of this base image. So that is my postcard and curiosity shop. Now, on the envelope flip and secret love letter, it's planning season, and I feel all kinds of ways about the upcoming year being by myself. And so I am going to write myself a letter to put in the back of my bullet journal pocket to read on my husband's on our anniversary next year. And it's not going to be decorated or anything. It's simply going to be stuck in there to find later on. And knowing me, I'll forget about it halfway through January, and it'll be a surprise. I'll put a phone reminder to myself to pull it out because I don't use my pocket back there very much. So that's what I'm going to do for envelope flip and secret love letter. Now, for today's project, mixed media tag and urban graffiti. Well, I'm not going to make a tag. I am going to work in the art journal again. I found an image once again on Pixabay of this graffiti woman on a gray wall and this wild hair, and I just loved it. I just loved this image, and I loved her face. My drawing skills are not good enough to duplicate this face. So when I printed this out, I printed two on an image and I cut out her face. So we're going to start there. I am not going to duplicate this card. I'm simply going to use it as a starting point. And I've pulled out some black and white paint to get some gray. I've pulled out some different gel prints to use. I may tone down the background with some grayish pink. I'm still going to keep the background pink, but we're going to tone it down a little bit. But there'll still be some crazy pink. Now, when I work in an art journal, I usually paint several pages at a time very quickly and just come back to them later and make a page out of it. That way you don't have a white page staring you in the face. You've got a bright pink page. It's like, well, and your first thought is, oh my God, I got to cover it up. Well, that's fine. That gets you moving, or, oh, I have the perfect thing to put here. Now I'm covering my spiral spine with some masking tape just so that it doesn't get any more gunky than it already is. It's gunky and it's rusted a little bit. I'm not going to put her face down yet, but I am going to kind of mark where she is with just an oval with my Sharpie, small enough so that this will cover it up. And I've got my matte medium out. The first thing we're going to do is lay down some background and tone down the really wild pink. Although I like it, but it's a little too much. I got a whole thing of neon paints, and I am not to be trusted with neon paints. I put it everywhere. I don't do it anymore, but I've got a lot of neon. I've got a lot of neon in this journal. So when you're using a reference, I'm not going to copy this, but I am going to do the general idea. A woman with wild hair in graffiti style. And all of my art supplies are falling on the floor. And I pulled out, first of all, my black and white paint and some gel printing, but I also pulled out these Marabu Gel Crayons so that I can kind of do the drawing style. Got, shades of, kind of like on here, shades of red, yellow, and orange, a little bit of maroon. I don't have this blue, but I did pull out a teal. I may or may not stick with that. I may change that up, but here's my basic set. And I bought those at Hobby Lobby on clearance. They had sets of 4 for like $1.50. I mean, they were just clearing them out, and I bought multiple sets of the cool colors because that's what they had. One set of warm and then one set of something else. So I have extras of several colors, but I haven't used them yet. But I just saw Denise Love, who does abstract art, use hers, and they say that they dry 100% after 24 hours. So you can put them in a journal and use them to layer. Anyway, well, I'm just going to layer this on. Yep, there we go. I'm going to put this high enough so that the white space doesn't show. It's not a project of mine until I've pulled out the matte medium. I love it. Also, this base is acrylic paint mixed with gesso. It's very rough, as I discovered in one of my projects in December. It doesn't like glue. The glue stick won't stick to it. The glue will kind of stick to it, but matte medium will definitely work since this is acrylic based supplies underneath. All right, let's see if we've got enough on here. Let's get a little goopy around the edges. There we go. We'll even pull it out a little bit so that we don't hit our my paintbrush is a little stiff because I used it for matte medium. Always rinse out your paintbrushes immediately. And even so, they'll dry a little bit stiff. So just kind of mash them down. And be sure never to use your good, soft watercolor brushes with acrylics. They just will not recover from that kind of abuse. All right, here we go. Now to smooth it out, I'm going to use my little card to make sure I've got good contact with the page. It gives me a lot of gel, which is fine. I'm just going to pull it down here. See what we've got. This is a kind of a cool gradation. I want to go around her face though. Let's see here. I think that'll be good. So about 1/2 inch under her chin. I'm calling that her chin. Well, she's not on here yet. I'll give you a tour of this sketchbook soon. It's about halfway filled out. I did it with exercises, with experiments. Some of it's just background that I put down, waiting for something to do with it. We'll smooth out the glue again. This will continue to have a wrinkly look, which is fine. Remember, this is kind of the look of a stone wall in the background. I'm just making sure that it's got good contact. And then we can just clean it up a little. Whoops. If you ever see any tears in your jelly print, this is deli paper, so it's thinner. It can tear if you're being too rough. Just nudge it back in place and glue it on down, and you won't even notice it once it's dry. All right. So I think that looks good. Where's our image here? So we've got some swirly black lines. So a lot of kind of like ink work in there. It almost looks like a tattoo. This would be a very cool tattoo, wouldn't it? I don't think we need to cover anymore. I think this is good. So now we're going to let this dry. We'll come back and add more layers of decoration. I decided to go ahead and glue down the face because then we don't have to wait a second time. So I'm going to go ahead and put her down on the page so everything can dry at the same time. And if I somehow get paint over her or something, I can always cut out the other one from the reference image and put it on top. There we go. Okay, there we go. Now we're going to let it dry. The matte medium is dry now. It's warped the paper a bit, but we're going to press this whole book once it's completely dry. And first of all, I want to make the background look a little more graffitied up, a little more urban. So I'm going to use some stencils and create some textures, some of that line art, make it, it's going to be different, but basically put some things in the background before we add her hair. I cleaned up this weekend, so of course I can't find anything. I used some gray. All right. First, let's get some stonework in here. I think this will be nice to frame her face. So let's see how that's looking. It's subtle, but it's there. That'll work. Flip it over. Do a little bit on the other corner. I'm gonna make the stone look like it's coming out of the corner up here. It's also paler, so the gray may show up more. It's pretty pale. I need to get a re-inking bottle. There we go. Let's do some irregular stripes. Oops. Let's get into some of this dark pink and knock it back. All right. One way when you're art journaling, I've said it before, repeat your elements. If you've got stripes in one place, put stripes in a couple other places to bring it all together. Preferably an odd number. Doesn't have to be 3, it can be 5, it can be 7. So here we've got 1, 2, 3-ish spots, 3 sets of bricks, 3 different color blocks. All right. Now, I wanted to give her hair. And like I've said before, I cannot draw hair to save my life. So I am going to use part of these swirls on this stencil and then probably go over it with a Posca marker. Like if I were to paint her hair in, I would ruin that piece for sure. I need to label this because this is gray. Where's my black? See, I've labeled all my all of my ink stampers. She's going to go off the corner of her forehead, go up here. It's going to look a little bit like Carmen Miranda. Let's see here. There we go, nice and dark. There we go. Let's see if we can get our hair to be a little more. Let's see if we can add some swirls of our own without completely messing it up. There we go. With things like this, just kind of take it slow. Let's use this little shadow, make another one, kind of get rid of it. It was just from the ink. And then I have a peacock feather here somewhere. Could have that coming off the side of her head, kind of like that, coming right out of that swirl right there. And I think I'll do it in black. It's similar to my first image in this book. This was the same peacock feather, I think. Yeah, the same stencil done on yellow gel paper. The face came out of a magazine, out of Vogue, and it was an eyeshadow ad. And I loved her face, so I put her in my journal. She's front page. All right. I think we've got so much color, putting in some black and making it very stark gives some really good contrast. If you're going to use super bright colors, like I tend to do, use a lot of black. Use some black and white and knock it back a little bit. Or at least give contrast to it. You need a place for your eye to rest, for your eye to focus. And if you're bombarded with a page full of tons of color like I've done here, there we go. That looks pretty cool. I think that will do for her hair. Right. Well, let's put some more color down. Do I have... I'll just use red sponge. These are these Marabu crayons. And I've seen them, I saw them used through a stencil this morning. So I thought I'm going to try that. The key is you have to rub them in after you put them on the stencil because they kind of make a mess. But then they'll spread. There we go. I like that. Let's use one of these. I like the shape that looks like a tree. The thing about art journaling, at least the way I do it, is I just fiddle around with it and add things until it tells me to stop. I sometimes go too far, of course. I'm sure we all do. But 9 times out of 10, it comes out. You never know when that next little addition is the perfect piece. Oops. There we go. See, it really goes through stencil very well, which is nice to have something that'll go, that'll add a lot of color. And to be honest, these are cheaper than archival ink. They are supposed to be light fast and color fast. And they'll dry in 24 hours. So you don't have to use fixative spray like you do with oil pastels. Nice. Okay, where's our original? Some more swirls. Lots and lots of color and writing. I don't think I'm going to do that, and I've got tons of stuff down already. The photo had a line going through it. I'm not going to cover her nose. It's already there. I'm going to make a horizontal line going across in this kind of broken pattern right here. And her hair is going to cover it up, and then let it come through like this. There we go. See if it can... Oh well, it won't be noticeable after a bit. Where's my other colors? There we go. Need some yellow. I'm afraid to mess it up. Some orange. I'm just going around the shapes. Ooh, that looks cool. I wonder if I have a blue like her lipstick rather than use this. I know I have some blue in here. I even have an open blue. Here we go. Add some graffiti on the walls. Yeah, that's enough. Now she had some big swirls. Let's see if I can pull this one off here. Get the swirl on the side of the face. Just like this line coming down here. Okay, it gives some real volume to her hair. And I think I'm going to leave it rough. And then my question is, does it need some white, Posca? Just a sec. Okay. Nothing like a little bit of white for very graphic interest. I'm not going to outline everything, but I'm going to just kind of shadow it so that it really pops off the page. Besides, this bottom part's pretty dark, so having this white feather in here. There we go. That looks nice. Just some fake writing, just to pull the white across the page. I think I'm done. Let's see. So here we have the whole piece. Here's our inspiration image. And our colors went a little bit different directions. And the page does not really, I mean, you can see the influence, and of course the face is the same. But we made our own page out of the starter image. And pulled the colors from the inspiration piece, pulled some of the ideas, and then used what materials we had on hand to make our own image. So that is my Dephemerember prompt. Whoops, can't find my paper. Prompt 18. There it is. Nope. Oh, goodness. Where did I put it? Where did I put it? Oh. So that's Dephemerember prompt number 18. Mixed media. We used gel prints, stencils, stencil ink, and Marabu crayons, and urban graffiti, which we definitely graffitied. So this is the end of Dephemerember. 3 days late, but I really enjoyed this one. I had this in mind the whole time when I saw that prompt, and especially when I found the image, but I thought that the graffiti would go into my art journal. So I had a great time with Dephemerember. I learned a lot. I also found my own style is way more leaning towards art journal and color rather than the shades of brown and beige on vintage journals. And I love the look of vintage journals, but in my own hands, I got to reach for the colors. You know, I've been watching 49 Dragonflies and Louise Heinzel for years. I've watched all 4 seasons of Dephemerember, and this is the first time I've actually done anything out of it, and I had a great time. So thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for keeping with me in Dephemerember. And I look forward to more videos in my art journal going forward, and a couple of how-to videos. I've got a whole bunch of ideas on making colorful papers. And that's all for Dephemerember. Thank you so much.